When a meteorologist talks about a cone during the hurricane season, you probably think of the forecast cone, or the cone of concern, the cone of uncertainty, or probability. However you know the cone, it's the most misunderstood, misused product from the National Hurricane Center. Let me show you why. Using these smaller cones, I've created something that resembles a hurricane forecast cone seen from above. So whenever there's a storm threatening, it's natural for people to say, okay, am I outside the cone or inside the cone? And sometimes people use this information to decide if they're going to take action before a storm. So it's really important to make sure you're interpreting the forecast cone correctly. I'll use this soccer ball right here to represent the center of the storm. It's like that dot or that swirling icon that you see on TV. Most of us probably assume the storm will move right down the middle of the cone. But that's not usually the way that it works. The soccer ball or storm can really go anywhere inside the forecast cone. It can go to the left, or it could go to the right, and roughly 1 out of 3 times a storm can even go outside of the forecast cone. The other thing to consider, hurricanes and tropical storms are much bigger than just a single point on the map. So instead of using the soccer ball, here's a better way to visualize a hurricane, and I've recruited a little help from Oasis South Summer Camp. And this parachute, yeah, that's more like it. This is the size of a hurricane. And then watch as we walk down the forecast cone. What I want you to see is look at how the edges of this big storm go well outside the cone. And that just shows you that impacts, even if you're not inside the cone, can extend far beyond it. And that's why the National Hurricane Center is making big changes to the cone this year. Yes, the forecast cone is going to look a lot more colorful. Here's an example of the forecast cone graphic. This is what Hurricane Ian would have looked like. And you can see there's actually less emphasis on the cone, more on the watches and warnings. You can see the areas here in red. Those are hurricane warnings, and then hurricane watches and tropical storm warnings. So you're going to notice a lot more colors popping up to show where the impacts are going to be, not necessarily where the center of the storm is going to move. Let's talk about the